Good morning. This is a homily for March 22nd, 2020. It's the fourth Sunday of Lent, Laetare Sunday. I'd be wearing the rose vestments if I were, when I have Mass, I will. If you want that, the whole Mass, it's available a lot of places, but for our parishioners, reason why I'm doing this mainly, welcome to anybody else, Father Matt has today's Mass at our parish websites. So most of you got here through those. Go back there, and Father Matt has our administrator, has the Mass for our groupings. I did hear this morning that Butler has its first COVID-19 case, so it's coming home. Why? Whose sin caused this is what was asked in the gospel. It's the healing of the blind man. Whose sin caused this? Was it his or his parents? And Jesus' answer? This is to show God's glory. It's to show God's glory. You want to look at sin, I want to look at God's glory. So why is the COVID-19 problem the way it is? Why do we have this pandemic? Is it our president's fault, our former president's fault, the Chinese fault? Did the United States military create this virus? Or maybe we're just victims of a vengeful God who's really mad at us. Really? The blame game is getting us nowhere. It got nowhere ever in human history. Is it right to ask, what did I do wrong? What can I learn from this and change my ways? Absolutely. Notice though, what did I do? What can I learn? Not was it his or his parents? Whose fault is it? Who can I blame? No. If there's something that needs to be healed, something needs to be fixed, like Jesus healed this blind man, then heal it. But otherwise, let's look for God's glory. How can I make this situation better, whether it be the pandemic or anything else in our lives? Not who to blame. How can I make it better given the situation the way it is? How we got here, can we learn from that and change some things? Absolutely. But start with, where's God's glory in this? That's why we look for fault, if we look for any, is to learn from it for the future. It's God's glory, God's mercy, God's goodness, God's power at work. And that is not to say we can then blame God because it's God's will. Oh, no. Jesus said it's for God's glory. Yes, absolutely. But not in the sense of blame God for it. It's look from a different perspective. You know, I remember when we first went into space, people looked at the pictures of the Earth, how beautiful they are, and some people noted, I don't see the borders of the countries like on the globe I have in our school on our teacher's desk. Where are the country borders? From God's perspective, from the further perspective out, there are more important things. From our perspective, living on Earth, yes, we need to worry about borders sometimes, but from the wider perspective, try to see from God's perspective. Faith, in fact, is a matter of seeing as God sees. That's what all of our readings are about today. Please, if you haven't read them yet, please go do that before listening to the rest of this. You can go to usccb.org or so many other places. usccb.org/Bible/readings. Please pray them over first and then listen to the rest of the homily. But all the readings are about seeing with faith, seeing with the eyes of faith, which means seeing like God sees things. I said last week, God already sees us as saints. He sees the whole picture. He sees the end of the world. He sees after we've been perfected. He sees us in heaven with him in glory. Can we start to see that way? We're in process. We're not there yet. But if we're wearing tinted glasses, okay, And we notice everything's not the right color because there are tinted glasses on our face. Is the fix for that to go repaint every little object so it matches what we think it ought to look like? Or is the idea to take off the glasses? Start seeing reality. See as God sees, not as we see. That's a quote from the first reading. God chose David and sent Samuel to Jesse to see his sons and find, here's my anointed one, my chosen one. Go bring him. Go bring him. And so Samuel sees one after another of Jesse's sons, all first seven of them. And no, God doesn't want this one. Oh, he's beautiful, he's powerful, he's strong, he's a good man. No, God doesn't want him. Samuel looked at all seven and finally said, well, don't you have any other sons? And Jesse said, well, yeah, there's David. He's out in the fields. They didn't even bring him in for this. Surely you don't want David. Yeah, that's who God wanted. We need to see as God sees, and Samuel was told exactly that. You're not looking like God looks. You're seeing as people see. And that's our problem throughout life very often. When we think God's punishing us, God's mad at us, God's not good, or God's not powerful, we're not seeing things the right color, from the right perspective. We're not seeing as God sees. You know, it's sort of as though we blinded ourselves by not looking and trying to see, where's God's glory, even in the bad situation? Where's God's glory, even in my struggles, even in my sins? Where's God's glory? The first step in all those 12-step programs is admitting there's a problem. The first stage in the dying process is getting through denial. The first movement in any conversion is recognizing something's wrong, or else we're not going to address it. What is wrong? How can I fix it? Where is God's glory? The blind man saw, even though he was physically blind, what the Pharisees couldn't. He saw Jesus' love, power, concern. They couldn't even see that a miracle happened. They didn't believe it was the same man. His parents didn't even want to get involved to say, yeah, well, that's our son. The Pharisees chose to be blind. They closed their eyes to the miracle. They threw the blind man out because he was healed. Yeah, that makes sense. They had a twisted, tinted image of God. These are the rules. God gave them to us. If we don't check off the rules, we're not close to God. And Jesus is breaking through that definitely. He wants to heal the Pharisees' blindness too. But they won't let him. How do we see God in this midst, in the midst of this problem? I don't always know. We aren't always going to find it, at least not quickly. But it is a matter of trying to see things as God sees them, to choose to love as God loves, do what we can, make things better if we can. And then we run into a problem, we respond like the blind man who said, I do believe, help my unbelief. I'm not all the way there yet. No, we're not in heaven yet. We're not all the way there yet, except in God's eyes. And that's what matters.